Hello! It took a while for it to say live on my screen. Welcome back. We are back from our short holiday break hiatus, and we are so excited to be back. It feels like it has been way longer than the 3 weeks that it actually was. We're excited. Almost all of us are here, and I think next week we'll all be back. So this is just kind of an informal chat, kind of like the one we did at the end of the year, just talking about our breaks and the new year coming up and answering any questions. So make sure if you've had questions you've been wanting to ask us, ask them. We'll be keeping an eye on that, and we want to answer your questions. So, because I'm going to run out of things to ask for very soon. But I was going to ask if anyone read any good books during our hiatus. So, or watch any good TV or movies. I guess you can do that too. It's all stories.
Did you do anything fun?
Yeah. How was your break?
So when did break start? Before Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time to go over.
3 weeks ago. Right?
I didn't read much in that time, but
No.
I did read some things.
Our last chat was December 18th, I think. Right?
Does anyone actually want to go? Do you want to go down the line?
Do the line. Everyone
Let's go down the
Aaron,
line.
you were first in my line, so go.
Oh, okay then. All right. I didn't get any time to read, or actually, I was supposed to be doing revisions of a deadline, but we had some unexpected family stuff going on with my husband's side of the family. So literally everyone was over for Christmas, and so we slept. It was it was so great to have it at the same time. It was insane. And we slept in the equivalent of what was the kids' playroom. So they would just come kind of busting in whenever they wanted to, which was great. But I'm kind of like, what do I do with these tiny people? And then also I just can't sit down and concentrate on writing or reading if I feel like I'm going to be busting through my wall any minute. So I wasn't able to really concentrate on books or writing this, but I did pick up a bunch of good books. I went to the bookstore, and actually it was really cool because it was so crowded in Boland's Books, and I ran into I think I had random conversations with about 4 different strangers because they were picking up books that I liked, or I was picking up books that they liked, and so I had 2 of them recommend this one to me. So I finally just picked it up because 2 people on the same day were like, you have to read this. And I just had really cool nerdy conversations with total strangers in the bookstore, which was probably the coolest thing
That is the
that
best.
happened to me over Christmas. It was really cool. One guy was like, high five. I was like, okay, book people. I love you guys. So anyways, I picked that up because it was 2 people on the same day. So I was like, okay, I'm going to cave in and buy this, take it as a sign. So yeah.
Kelly is the next person on mine.
My focus in reading for the end of 2016 was finishing off some ongoing series. So I reread all of the Naturals books by Jennifer Lynn Barnes and then read the 4th one and loved it. I read an arc of the last book in Anne Bishop's The Others series and loved it, and finished off Claudia Gray's Firebird trilogy and loved it. So pretty good reading for me.
I still need to read the other 2 books in that series.
They're also great.
Yeah. And Rachel.
I actually did a lot of reading of advanced copies, so I can't say too much about what I read. But just over New Year's, actually, I finished Wayfarer by Alexandra Bracken, which is the second in her Passenger duology. Oh my god, it was so good!
I have it, but I haven't read it yet.
Yo, you need to start right away. Passenger, I really, really enjoyed. And then Wayfarer, I was like, well, yeah, obviously I'm going to read the second one because I really liked the first one. And the second one did an amazing, it blew it out of the water. It was so fantastic. So I'm very happy I'm still in that afterglow. But I also just finished an advanced copy of Long May She Reign by Rhiannon Thomas, which comes out in February. It was really good. It wasn't as fantasy as I thought it was going to be, but it kind of had that Sherlock Holmes in the medieval age with a scientist queen, and it was really, 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 really neat. So yes, I know. Cool. Do recommend. I do like that one.
And Megan?
My break was pretty good. I had my first ever deadline with my agent, so now she has a revised version of my book, and I'm just sitting here very nervously waiting and hoping that she likes it. So beyond that, I didn't do much writing because I've just let the anxiety get to me. So I need to do better on the writing front this month. But I also read Buffering by Hannah Hart, which was amazing. It was so good.
Oh, was it?
And I loved it. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
And then I just finished like an hour ago. I finished The Reader, which I
Yeah.
really enjoyed as well.
Summer
It's one of our book
sales.
clubs
Yeah.
in the future.
I have it in
and I'm
audiobook
posting it.
right now. I'm
So-
so
Oh,
excited.
that would be beautiful to hear someone reading it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see like if it's a good audiobook. Sometimes
I
they're not
bet
good
it is.
audiobooks.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the narrator.
Well,
Yeah, it's all.
and it
about the
depends
narrator.
on if they
Yeah.
inlay the clues that are
Mhm.
like
Oh,
the book has
right.
a lot of illustrations in it, and like
Right.
there's a part that's like slashed out of it, and then there's little code words down at the
Right.
bottom
Oh,
by the
yeah,
they'll
page
do
numbers.
that.
I'll have to get a hard copy to go with the audiobook so I can look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how they're
I
gonna
have
do
the hard
that.
copy, so if we see each other, you can just borrow
This is
it.
true. And I'll see you in March, which I'm pretty sure is before that book comes. So,
Excellent.
yes.
But yeah, it was so beautiful. Just like the book
Mhm.
itself. I want to like just look through it and touch it. It was so pretty. It was amazing.
Right. And then it's me. I got like 0 writing done, but I did get a lot of reading done. Breaks are weird for me because it's also like a weird time at work for me because my schedule is different and like so my whole routine is thrown off and so I just am never productive during them, even though I should be because they're breaks. But I did read. My favorite things I read were I read. This is an old series, but I read Leviathan by Scott Westerfeld. I read the whole trilogy.
Oh,
Okay, so
trilogy, yo.
speaking of audiobooks, the audiobooks for those are amazing. Alan
Oh.
Cumming does them, and like because he's like Scottish, and so his accent for Darren is amazing, and just like everything. I loved it. He does all the accents really well. But yeah, so super old, but I've never read it, and I love it. It's weird because I actually liked each book better than the one before it. Like
Yeah,
it
that
just like
almost
kept
never
getting better.
happens.
Yeah. Like the whole first book I was like, this is all right, like pretty good. And then it ended and I was like, I have to have the second book. And then it just kept getting better. So yeah, I really liked it. I'm glad I finally read it. And then the other thing I really liked that I read is a book that comes out this Tuesday, and it's also behind Aaron, so you can see it. It was Frostblood by Ellie
Oh.
Blake. And
Beautiful.
I read an arc of it and I loved it. Like it's a little bit like Red Queen, but I liked it more.
That's a
Like,
good way
it
to
has-
describe it.
Yeah, it kind of
I
has
did as well
that
read
same
it.
like 2 groups of people who are like kind of rivals and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, I liked it a lot more than Red Queen. I feel like it had more fantasy elements to it, which I like better.
That's cool.
like
Yeah.
Red Queen
It has
had,
that
like,
whole
the
like
sweeping
fire versus ice thing, which like I'm not
Yeah.
huge into the element magic stuff, but I really
done
enjoyed
really
it
well.
in Frostblood. Yeah.
did really well in Frostblood. So yeah, love the romance in it and the plot and just everything. So
Yeah. She
it's
was a
great.
little bit like, I can suddenly do everything even though I've never trained before, but like only slightly.
yeah. And
But I like everything else about her.
I appreciate that she still like she struggled all the time. Like she was never. I don't know. I feel like she was never suddenly like I'm amazing. Like even
Yeah.
at the end when she starts like actually like winning fight. Like that would spoil things, but like
Yeah, that's true.
there's a reason that she's able to like win fights and stuff. Like it's not
Yeah.
just because she's amazing.
I'm so excited to start
And then all of a
it.
sudden it's like bam demons and you're like, where? What?
yeah.
Where'd
Hey,
that come from?
spoilers.
Yeah. I'm super
Oh,
excited
sorry.
to see like where like the next book goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved those. Didn't get any writing done really, and that was mostly my break. So yeah, fun.
Well,
Yay, breaks.
I'm so glad we're back though.
Me
I
too.
know, I missed all your faces. It was so
Yeah.
weird, like not keeping time, because usually I keep like my weeks organized because I'm like, hey, Sundays are filming days with word days.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, I don't know what I'm doing.
So it's like between us being back and then like the university semester starts tomorrow, so I go back to my normal work schedule.
Mm.
So which like I like during breaks because like I get to like get off work earlier and stuff, and then I get like a whole week off and everything. But yeah, it just screws with my routine and I get nothing done.
Yeah, totally.
Especially that week that I have off, I just like lay on the couch and like watch TV all day, and I'm like, I should do something.
Oh my god. Netflix has been like a sucking black hole for me, like, and my productivity. I'm supposed to be doing revisions, and I'm like, but Jane the Virgin, there's this big
Yeah.
like hook at the end of the every time I'm like one more episode, and then I'm like,
Oh my God.
but there's an evil twin. Oh.
During the break, when I was off work, there was a day where I watched the entire first season of The Magicians, which I didn't even like that much, but I watched the entire season. Like I couldn't turn it off. I kept like, I'd be like, I'm gonna watch the next one because I want to see what happens next.
I think I finished about 3/4 of that book and then just couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I like the show better than the book.
I'd say I
haven't seen the show yet.
I watched the show and I was like, this is all right. I was like, but I have zero interest in reading the book because I don't know. I could just like tell from watching it that I was like, I would hate this as a book.
It was so boring. Oh my god.
Is it kind of literary or something, or?
It's
Like,
supposed to be like Harry Potter for adults, and I do understand that because it's about a kid who goes to magic school, but the kid is like 18.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's all very
magic
pretentious, and it's just
The magic's interesting because it has to do with like hand movements and incantations and like the
that was cool.
like the time of year, the phase of the moon. Like it has to do with all these like certain little things, which were really interesting. But just like the book itself, so dry.
Also,
it was so boring.
The main character is just the most like boring white bread character of all
He
time.
is.
He's so boring. Oh my god. Which is
That's
why I was
funny.
like, I would not like this as a book because at least in
Yeah.
the show I get to like look at all the cool because there's some really like fun secondary characters. I was like, I would hate reading from his point of view.
Hmm.
From what I've seen
Okay.
on Twitter, it seems like if you liked the books, you don't like the show as much. But if you didn't like the books, like you'll like the show a little more.
interesting. So are you? Because Kelly said it was pretentious. Like, is it the writing, or is it more like the character, or
all of the
like
above.
all of the above? Okay.
Mhm. I read it a little while ago, so I'm trying to remember. But like, I remember like liking the world and liking the magic and liking the idea of it. It's just like the writing. I guess it was just the writing. Like the characters were all right, but yeah, just the writing was really.
I hate the best friend girl Julia or whatever. Oh my gosh, she's so annoying.
I can't even remember her though, so that shows
The
how
best
much
friend, like,
I like that
at the
book.
beginning, she's like, before like the whole magic school thing, she's like, you need to give up on loving this series because he like loves this series of fantasy books. She's like, you need to give up on loving those.
Right.
And then when she doesn't get
right.
accepted to the magic school, she gets angry, and it's like, you're the one who was acting like it wasn't real.
Yeah, right. I remember that. Yeah, it's kind of like Narnia and Harry Potter.
Yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
has, I was gonna say, it has a lot of Narnia. Because
Yeah.
the book series that he loves is pretty much Narnia.
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah, and he's
Again,
able to like
really
turns
awesome
out that
concept.
world is real and the series he loves and stuff.
Interesting.
Maybe I'll have to
I
watch
kinda
the
wanna
TV
read
show
it.
because it's such an interesting
You
concept.
should watch
so.
it and see if you like it. And they age up the characters. They make it grad school in the TV show.
Oh, rad.
So they get
Okay.
older.
I do really like the secondary characters in the TV show. I still don't
Yeah.
like a lot in the TV show, but the secondary
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah, I still don't like Quentin. He was born.
Oh yeah, Quentin. I forgot what his name was.
Yeah.
It does sound pretentious, Quentin.
He has like super
Quentin
long,
the
like
Third.
yeah. No, he has a name like that. I can't remember what it
Real?
is. But yeah, he
Oh my
does.
God. Wow. I still want to watch it.
Yeah, watch TV show.
Yeah, you should watch it.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what Aaron thinks of the TV show.
Yeah.
I'm
It seems like something
curious.
you could either be really into or hate.
Yeah. Probably one or the
No in
other.
between.
Speaking of books that are being made TV shows, Netflix is going to release a series of Unfortunate Events really soon. I'm
Yes.
so excited.
What date is that again? I keep seeing
I can't
previews.
remember. The what? Ah, of
Of
course.
this month?
It's
Yeah.
this Friday.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's Friday.
god!
Right?
Of course it's the 13th.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Exciting! Oh my god.
I know. I love the casting of the movie, and the movie was like actually kind of decent.
I
And
liked
like
the
the
movie.
casting was spot on. So I was really like, I don't know how they're gonna do it as a TV show. And then I was like, there's not gonna be a better Count Olaf than the actor's name. I can't
Jim
remember.
Carrey.
Harris.
Thank
Jim
you.
Carrey.
I'm just like, there's not gonna be a better Count Olaf than Jim Carrey. And then they're like, yeah, Patrick Harris. I'm like, oh, okay, I lose. I lose. Everyone together.
see
Stand corrected.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
excited.
I was like, okay, done.
Oh
just
man,
thought
I'm gonna
preview
have
looked
to
so
like
good.
marathon Jane the Virgin so I can finish it before I marathon Lemony Snicket. Excuse me.
Is it
Problems.
a multiple seasons TV show, or are they doing the entire series in this one go?
I think they're doing an entire series in one go.
I think it's the
I don't
first
know.
3 books.
Wait a
someone
minute.
said. Someone, or maybe that's the
they're
movie.
That
the
was
first
the
3 books.
movie was the
I think
first
they're
three.
filming.
Right,
Is it like
okay.
each season the first 3 or 4?
It's,
I think 4.
I think like 2 or 3, maybe 4 books per season. Because the
Oh.
books are so small, right? I know they're releasing more than one season.
Yeah, one book at a time.
Yeah, I don't think it would be one book at a time though, because it would be so slow. Or sorry, I mean it would be so
Says that the
so
first
fast because they're
season-
small books.
Yeah. ScreenRant.com says that the first season will cover books 1 through 4.
Okay. Cool.
And I've heard it's really cool how they like incorporate like Lemony Snicket as the narrator of the show.
Do they?
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, because
cool.
what's his face? The guy who does like the voice of Krunk in The Emperor's New Groove. I can't think of his real.
Yeah, I know the guy and that
Oh, I
actor.
don't know his
he's a
name.
good.
But
he's
he
gonna
played
be a good
Lemony
narrator.
Snicket, and apparently he's like in scenes, but the characters can't see him and stuff.
That's so
Oh,
cool.
Okay.
I thought you
That
meant
was
like
so
Daniel
interesting.
Handler was going to narrate. I was like, what? Whoa, cool.
Doesn't sound like something you do.
No.
Well, I
But
love
also, I feel like that guy, whatever his name is, he's like the perfect actor to be like Daniel Handler.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he's kind of
so
similar to him.
perfect.
That's true.
So,
Yeah, well, I really love that what they're doing with the casting of the children, where they actually did get children that are that age, because there is a thing where like I'm kind of involved in the acting community in Vancouver, so like I kind of know stuff, and they're saying one of my friends was like, "Oh, you should go and audition to be Violet, or you should go audition to be one of the characters," and I was like, "I can't, I'm too old." Even if I look like I'm younger, I still can't, because they only wanted people that were actually that age, which is awesome, because of course you have the whole TV shows of all the 27-year-olds that are still in high school. You're like, yeah, okay.
I'm
Yeah.
13.
And it's smart if they're going to be doing
right.
like multiple seasons. Like they need them to not age too much.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
because like you may look young enough now, but who knows what you look like in a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure Rachel will still look young and beautiful. But.
Yeah.
I never age.
Thanks, guys.
We have a couple of questions. One from Megan H. Have any of you guys read the Queen's Thief series? And if so, would you recommend it?
Yes.
That's the Megan Whalen Turner one, right?
The
Okay,
Queen's
I haven't
Thief
read it
series
yet.
by Megan Whalen Turner. The first book's called The Thief.
Okay.
So the first book came out 20 years ago, and the fifth book comes out this year. So
Oh,
she's a very,
wow.
very slow writer.
Uh-huh.
But
Wow.
the books are the first book is less like this, but the other ones, like they're very complex. So I get why it takes her a long time to write them. Like they're definitely one of those books that like you get to the end and like nothing was what it seemed, and like it turns everything on its head, but it all makes sense. Like they're so great. The first book
Okay.
is like more generic fantasy, where it's like
I really
Um,
struggled with the first book.
yeah,
I read
like-
past it.
I enjoyed the first. I actually listened to the first book as an audiobook, so maybe that helped. Like I enjoyed it, but it was kind of more generic, where it's like this guy who's like taken out of prison because he's like a thief. So he's a thief, and he's taken out of prison because the king wants him to go like steal this artifact, and so it's his like journey to go do that, and there's like big revelations along the way and stuff. But the other books are much more like political, and there's like not really war going on, but it's like everything is like on the brink of war, and it's really interesting.
So is it like Raven Boys, where the first book is a little hard to get through, and then the rest of them are great?
I thought all the Raven Boys books were
I got the
Raven So I don't
A
know.
little hard to get through.
None of them are
Yeah.
very fast reads, I'll say that, because like they are like a little bit more dense and like complex, but I think they're really good. Like I don't know, I just really enjoy them. Like don't expect them to be
Probably yes.
yeah, don't expect them to be like light fun reads. I mean they're fun, but they're not like light reads. I don't know how to describe them.
They're dense.
Yeah. Also, it's weird because the first book's in first person and the rest of them are in third person. But I think it was a smart move to change to
Ooh.
third person.
I don't know if I would like that.
Mm,
The rest of the
Weird.
books definitely wouldn't have worked in first person. They needed to be in third person.
Odd.
So. But yeah, so I'm very excited for the last one. And yes, person who asked the question, Megan H.
The fifth one is the last one.
I think there's supposed to be 6 total, maybe.
Hmm.
But like they
Maybe I'll
all
wait till
they
that.
all end like conclusively enough that like I actually think the 5th one is supposed to kind of like branch out and look at like some other parts of the world. I don't even know. I don't remember what the
Mhm.
5th one's supposed to be about, but
But it's gonna be good.
it's gonna be good. I'm excited. It's called Thick as Thieves.
We have another question from Dance Storm. Question for the word nerds. Did you know your genre when you start writing, or do you choose a genre later?
I know the genre.
I know.
I know, yeah.
Well, for me, like it'll be like I want to write a fantasy novel, and then I'll pull out a fantasy novel. Or, like I want to, or this idea would go best to contemporary, so I put it in contemporary right away off the bat, so I know what's happening.
As soon as I
Yes.
have like the character or like plot idea, yeah, like I know what
Yeah,
kind of world it's in.
Mhm.
So.
same. Usually I write fantasy, so I can almost always guarantee myself that it will be a fantasy, but you know, I've had a science fiction idea before, and I can read enough that I know that this is not a fantasy, it's science fiction.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think before I start writing, I always know. Sometimes when I'm like in the plotting phase, I might be like, oh, I want to write witches. And then I decide as I'm coming up with the characters, like, is this going to be witches in the real world or is this going to be witches in a fantasy world? But it's still always like I know by the time I start typing.
you know,
Yeah.
you don't know necessarily if it's urban fantasy or like whatever when you first have the idea, but you know if it's fantasy or if it's like there's a big difference.
Yeah. That's not something you really pick about the story, because like if there's magic, it's fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sci-fi.
It could be paranormal.
Yeah.
It's true.
It could be true. It's funny because that actually reminds me, I have found the most amazing podcast. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Story Grid podcast before.
No, I'm gonna write that
Oh
down.
my God, it's so good. I've been listening to it nonstop over Christmas break and just now. And it's basically this beginning writer who has done this podcast interviewing, basically asking all these all the questions that new writers want to ask. And he's asking this 6 years of experience editor who worked for one of the big 5 publishers. And so they just explore everything you could possibly imagine about the craft of writing stories.
Oh, cool.
So it's just such an informative podcast. So yeah, that's called the Story Grid for anyone that's not sure
Just
listening.
put a link to it in the discussion section.
So good. And one of the things they talk about a lot is because the Story Grid is like this book he's created that tells you about different archetypes. And he's got these things called he calls them obligatory scenes that are in each genre. So like in the romance, you have, the happily ever after, or if it's a tragedy, you have one of them die. In the romance, you have that big scene, in the movies where he chases after her, runs to the airport. No, wait, I love you. That's like one of the obligatory scenes. And you don't have to do that exact thing because that's very cliche. But there has to be a scene with that type of payoff. So that's what he talks about. And he says that's one of the reasons it's so important to know before you write your whole manuscript which genre you're in. Because if you start off with a murder, people are going to think it's a murder mystery, right? If you start on mystery and then it suddenly changes to fantasy, your readers are going to go, what, right? Was what I said. I thought that was an interesting segue because that's exactly what I was listening to this. But yeah, the Story Grid is really, really good if you're just learning how to plot, especially.
Yeah, and going along with that, I think it's important to know your genre from the beginning because there's different expectations for different genres.
Definitely.
Like people expect different things, so.
That's why it's so important to read
definitely.
a lot.
I remember the most confused and frustrated I ever got with a book was, I won't say which book because it's like a major plot twist, but at the halfway mark of the book, the character's like, you remember that whole half of the book that I was telling you about? It was all a lie. You thought this was a contemporary and really it's a paranormal.
What?
Oh, I know exactly.
And really it's a what?
I was like, what?
A paranormal. I know exactly what book you're talking about.
Yeah, and once I came to terms with it, I enjoyed the book again. It's such a big spoiler.
I think you can tell them. No, whatever.
Okay,
spoiler.
It hasn't been written in the last 5 years. Then you're good.
Okay.
Oh, okay. You're thinking of something different.
Really?
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh, okay.
And it's the exact same twist where you're like, I thought it was one genre, and surprise, it's a whole nother genre, and it was supernatural.
Well, what is it?
The one I am talking about, is I think it's called I'm Not a Serial Killer. That's
Oh, yeah.
Because you think it's like a YA CSI Hannibal type of thing, and it's like, surprise!
Yeah.
Okay, big spoiler.
I've been spoiled on that one.
Okay, it's a big spoiler, but I'm Not a Serial Killer is like halfway through, it's like totally CSI, Criminal Minds, and then it's like, surprise, he's a werewolf. And I was like, what the hell is this? Yeah. Yeah, I was not impressed.
That kind of makes me want to read it, though.
That's the exact thing. halfway through the book, she's like, "Just kidding, I'm a werewolf."
What?
What? What the hell? This is not an okay thing, people.
Oh,
I feel like there's some book I've read, and I can't remember what it was, where like randomly it like suddenly starts incorporating like ghosts or something. Like I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
There's one book I can think of that does it well, but it turns out there's ghosts, and you didn't really know that the whole time.
Yes.
You can do it if you're writing magical realism, right?
Mhm.
Like if it starts out, it feels contemporary, but there should be a hint that it's magical realism. There usually is, right? So people kind of know to go in expecting something. They don't necessarily know what, but they're not going to be blindsided. Like, I thought this was a mystery. I like mystery. So what am I reading right now? You know, that's when you come into that problem, is when you promise your readers one thing and then you yank the rug out from underneath them and give them something completely different they didn't want.
Oh, I know what book I'm thinking of. It doesn't introduce, the ghosts aren't sudden, they're from the beginning. But over the break, one of the books I tried to read was As I Descended by Robin Talley, which I so wanted to like, and I wanted it because it's like a contemporary like lesbian Macbeth. But like
What?
it weirdly like incorporates all this ghost stuff. Like I don't know, it was like I couldn't figure out if it was supposed to be paranormal or contemporary or what. Like I don't know. It was like trying to be
'cause-
multiple things, and I was very confused the whole time and just could not get into it.
That's too
I
bad.
did enjoy Liar, though, for the record.
Mm.
It just
Just
took me a
yeah.
moment of stepping back and being like, what am I reading right now? Occasionally, it works.
Yeah.
But I think that was a huge turnoff for a lot of people, though.
I could see that.
We have a question from Jody. She said, the average life of a boy band is 5 years. And that said, it's been 5 years since 50 Shades and like the whole new adult craze came along. So what trends do we think are going to be happening and be big in the next 5 years?
Oh, what a good question.
Uh-huh. That's an interesting fact about boy bands. I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
Actually,
Things
the
I
thing
didn't know.
Yeah. Da-da-da-da. The thing that I was going to say is that when I attended this publishing event and was looking at some of the up and coming things, one of the women that was helping run the event, and I believe this was for Rain Coast, she said that one of the big up and coming themes, like right now and in the next year or so, is going to be like the circus freak thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long
yeah,
it's gonna
I
stay
totally
around,
agree with that.
but that's
Yeah,
like
I
the
just
new up
saw-
and coming thing.
Amanda Hawkins just released a
Yeah,
circus freak
Freaks.
book.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like
totally
with the
agree
whole
with that.
like Amanda Hawkins Freaks and like Peculiar Children getting a second wind and that kind of
and
thing.
a movie coming out. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I saw
Um,
that. I saw the Peculiar Children movie. It was good, actually.
Oh, did you like it?
Yeah, I really liked it.
I liked
Really
it.
neat.
I thought it was good. I'm a little bit biased because I love Eva Green. Like,
Yeah,
so
Eva
much.
Green is
She's amazing. So I get to look at my inbox for tips on what may or may not be big, and I've been seeing a lot of and for a while now, a lot of like Assassin Queen type of things. So
Probably
like
with the whole Throne of Glass thing that ushered
yeah,
that.
like
Yeah, I think we're
Throne of
definitely getting a return to like high fantasy. I mean,
Yeah.
high fantasy is
Yeah,
always around, but it's
definitely.
definitely getting like more like traditional high fantasy is coming back. Where like for a while it was that weird like dystopian high
Yeah.
fantasy blend like Red Queen, but like
yeah,
Red Queen
and there
and the
was
Young Elites and
yeah, there was recently a really big sale as well that was all over Publishers Marketplace. And it was like Ash Queen or Ash Princess, something like that, that sold for like a huge deal. And so I think probably the funny thing is I was like, what? Because that was in my inbox, and I like sent it on. We must have not won the competition for it, but I remember liking it and sending it on. So seeing it later in Publishers Marketplace was a bit surreal, but that did really well, and so I suspect that it's going to be like a big market push, so that will probably renew even more interest in that. But I personally, I'm not sure if I would be writing. I don't write for trends.
Yeah.
Just write what you want to write, because I think this is
Yeah.
like, I think because I'm sick of the warrior queen thing right now, because of just from seeing so much of it in my inbox. So
Well, I can say that there's
Yeah.
a big push towards more sci-fi now, especially with Star Wars. Like, there's all these
Oh,
kinds
right.
of. I know there's a couple of teen books that are like Star Wars based, and then of course Veronica Roth has Carve the Mark coming out, which is like a Star Wars-esque idea. And then I have a
I
couple
think
of.
Marie Lou's is supposed to be Star Wars-esque.
Yeah?
Her new one.
Okay, and then I have like
I think so.
this is
I could be
an
making
advanced copy of a book that I just happen to have next to me.
Ah.
That comes out, I don't know,
So prepared.
February. Oh, January 31st. All right, if y'all want to read this, January 31st.
Ooh.
And that has more like a sci-fi alien kind of thing going on about it. So I think that's going to be really new. By the way, Rogue One, have you all seen it?
I loved it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm over here
Yes.
like, it's all right.
Did you guys
I'm
not
feeling
see? Did you guys?
ostracized by my entire friend group because I'm like, it's all right. And I was like, how dare you not say it?
Okay,
And was
I
like, "You never
fully
said it in your
agree with
life."
you. No, I loved when the Force Awakens came out. I was just like, don't you dare badmouth it. I love it so much. But with this one, I'm like, it was okay.
It's
Like
all right.
I'm totally on the. It was all right.
I
Bandwagon.
still cried at
and
the end. The effects were amazing.
I didn't. I was like, I don't care about any of
Hang
these
on.
people.
No.
No
For me, there
spoilers.
was no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
No.
spoilers. No. But I did. No one else was like, okay, lack of character development. That didn't bother anyone else.
There was a lot
Yeah. It
of
was
power
just
walking
me.
and long stairs without seeing anything. That's what I got at an hour walk.
I don't know. I was just like, it was entertaining.
Mhm.
I liked it. I didn't not like it. I
Yeah,
just
exactly.
didn't feel the connection to the characters like I did with The Force Awakens.
Yeah, I love The
Yeah.
Force Awakens, and
I
I think I
really,
was,
really
I think I was just
liked
overhyped.
Rogue One.
for it.
Yeah, I did
I've seen it
too,
twice
yeah.
and I really liked it, but I did
Damn,
feel
yo.
much more of a connection. Well, I
Yeah.
didn't pay for it. First, my family paid for it, and then my husband's family paid
Nice.
for it. So
I just felt like with Rey, I'm like, I know her backstory. I know why she does the things she does. Like, I can get into her shoes and like really experience this with her. And with, I don't even remember the other girl's name. That's how much I didn't really
Jin.
care that. Jin. I just didn't. I was like, there could have been such cool backstory here because she grew up with this kind of like crazy extremist person. I'm like, there was so much potential for backstory, but I know it's not the same story and it's not going to be like 3 movies like the other one is and stuff.
Yeah.
So like, it was more of a war story. But yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a war movie,
Mm-hmm.
which I didn't
It's so
mind.
good,
It
though.
was
Did you
cool.
guys, you guys see the headline where it was like some newspaper was like, Rogue One like finally reveals what Star Wars is really about, war, and then someone like zoomed in on like
Yeah.
Star Wars. Like, people figured this out before.
Because you know it's called Star Peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The title
Star,
of the
let's all
series.
just be friends. Ugh.
I really appreciated how it connects things and how you like, because I don't know, like one of those like weird things in the original movie is you're like, okay, so the Death Star just happens to have this flaw that they can like use.
Yeah, I
you
love
shoot
that
one laser and it's good to go. Like,
Yeah,
so I like
that's
that it
true.
explained why it was so.
they tied that in.
Sorry.
That was really cool.
Mhm.
I also
So I
liked
wasn't
that it was
expecting
so
that. So.
yeah, and me neither. That was clever. And I also liked that it was so much like so close to the events of A New Hope. Like
Yes.
came
Mhm.
right afterwards.
That last scene was so
I
good.
know.
I
know.
I was not expecting that.
You haven't? Oh, sorry, Kelly.
It's not a spoiler, say the last scene was
Knowing that
really
it's a war movie.
have not either.
good. And how like, cause like General Tarkin, like that actor is dead. Like they had to like digitally recreate like all of his
Yeah,
scenes.
which is a little
Yeah.
weird.
That's
It's
crazy.
Mhm.
I did
But so
not
well done.
realize that he had died and was like, why did this man not age? What
how did this happen?
What's the matter? Was he immortal? I have to get his secrets.
It's like almost, it's like as weird as like the fact that they used like the same Palpatine for like the original movies and then went back in the prequels and used the same actor. He was like technically older.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
Too good.
Like Legolas in The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and Gandalf.
And Randall.
Gandalf looked weird all the way because of the CGI. Like, you know, like his face looked a little bit off every time I saw him.
Yeah, same with Legolas. Like his skin was too smooth. I was like, something's up.
Yeah. But it was like obvious, like his face is a different shape than it used to be. so it
Yeah,
was like you're not fooling anyone.
Yeah. It's like Gandalf's face like glowed a little bit too much. I was like, this is weird.
It's wizard powers, Emma. Don't question it.
Oh, we have another question.
Okay.
Where did it go? Sabra asked, does a regular novel have to be over 50,000 words?
Probably, yes.
Isn't
If
it
it's middle
30,000?
grade,
Mm.
30,000 is closer to like a novella.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're getting into children's books, like if you're getting into children's chapter books, those are much smaller. If you're getting into middle grade books, those can be 50,000.
Or
You're
very
okay
literary
there.
ones.
Or very literary ones, right? I have a literary adult novel that's probably less than 50,000 words on my shelf right now. But if you're talking like commercial YA, then yeah, it needs to be longer than 50 for the most part.
Probably a fair bit larger than 50K,
Yeah.
which is my struggle always. My books always come out close to 50K.
Yep.
We had a question. Yes. How many books do you recommend someone read in a year if you have trouble reading? I'm ashamed to say I read 2 to 5 books a year, but want to read more.
I mean, everyone's reading goals are different based on how much time you have and how fast you read. And
Yeah, it's hard
Kelly
to
reads like
recommend
a crazy amount of books every year.
Yeah,
But
I don't
also
even read
partly
a third
her
of what
job,
Kelly reads in a year.
No, me either. I am ashamed to admit that I am in a total reading slump right now. Like, and I've really been, because I started on like a nonfiction, like Neil Gaiman's kind of sort of biography, which is nice. It's not even a biography. It's hard to explain. It's like about some essays and then
It's a
other
collection of
forewords that he's written.
essays,
Yeah, a collection of stuff. Anyways, which I'm finding very interesting, but I also really badly miss fiction. I mean, I'm just like, I don't know. I just need to like actually set out time to read.
Yeah. I just say if you want to start reading more, like figure out your goal for the year and then like divide it into months. Like even if you just want to, like if you read 1 book a month, then you've read more books than you read last year. So
Yeah, and honestly,
Don't stress
2 to
about
5
it.
books is more than the average adult reads in a year.
That's
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, so if you want to,
It's true,
up it a
though.
little bit and set a goal, be like, oh, I want to read 7 books this year instead. Like you don't have to go from 5 books to 50 in a year. You can just slowly inch your way up higher.
I used to be horrified when someone said to me like, I don't read. The last book I read was in high school, but it happens so much though, and it makes me so sad. Like it happened recently, like at Christmas. Oh yeah, the last book I read was in high school. I'm like, you're like 40. What the heck? Yeah, I don't read books anymore. I just read the newspaper and my phone. Like, this is so sad to me.
you're missing out on so much.
That's better than
Yeah.
nothing, but
It sucks.
how much better?
No, you're doing good at 1 to 5 books per year. Much better than a lot of people are doing.
I think just try to make it a priority. Try to read at least a couple chapters every week. So you don't have to do it every day, just whenever you find time a week. If you can't do it some weeks, that's fine. But just try to get yourself thinking about reading a little more often.
Yeah, and also like don't force yourself to read books you don't like either. Like I feel like that's a big problem with high school reading and people that I want to read more, and then they pick out these stuffy, horrible literary books and they're like, I can't imagine why I don't like reading. Pick up something that's really, really catches you and doesn't let you go, you know, then you can get back into reading that way. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Also, another thing that I kind of noticed is that whenever you want to reach for your phone, reach for a book, and you'd be really amazed at how much time you have when you're not just like on your phone or like watching YouTube videos for like 7 hours.
And you can also, if reading itself is a struggle for you, like try looking into audiobooks, because I know some people that audiobooks are a lot better for them, especially if like you're like driving a lot or commuting or something, they're good. Or you can also look into graphic novels, because a lot of people who like struggle with reading really like graphic novels. So
yeah, I have so many coworkers that recommend Saga, so if that's
so good.
yeah,
Very adult.
oh okay then.
Yes.
Again.
Yeah, I was gonna say Neil Gaiman's Sandman, but again, very adult. Not
Rachel, do you know how much
PG.
you read a year?
I don't know. I was actually thinking about the other day. I'm like,
You
maybe I
don't
should
track it on
track
Goodreads.
that.
I've tried to find out how much you read. Like, I don't know.
Oh, okay, well, I
Like,
mean,
you've
like,
read all this stuff I've never read, plus all the stuff I have read. So
well, like, it was just the other day. I was thinking, like, when did I, like, how many books have I read since the beginning of the new year? And I'm like, I think it's been 3. I think. So I'm kind of like, I can't remember, like, when I started and when I did it. So I'm kind of like, maybe I should make a tally now because I really don't know.
yeah,
And I remember one time
like
some.
you read a lot.
Yeah. Well, like, I actually, and to be fair, like, I do read a lot. I read all the time, like in the break room at work, and I read on the SkyTrains, on transit. I'll read before I go to bed. Like, I do read a lot, and I would say I'm a pretty fast reader because I remember once like getting a book and being halfway through, and then someone's like, "Oh, when'd you start that?" I'm like, "Oh, this morning." And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just like really into it." Yeah, I guess I should start taking tally of that.
Goodreads. Come on.
I know, like, I really, that's one of the things, like,
The only reason I have Goodreads is to keep track of the books.
I guess it's a good idea. I guess I should actually become
I've
more.
I've gotten a lot
Yeah.
of interesting book recommendations from you, so I'd be curious to see like a feed of, oh, Rachel liked this new book
Oh,
I've never heard
okay.
of.
Mhm.
Well, so that's one of the
Yeah,
things
I
with-
didn't hear about Angel Fall until Rachel told me.
Yeah.
Angel
Oh,
Fall.
okay. Well, yeah, maybe I will. Maybe that'll be one of my New Year's resolutions. I'll put it up there because, like, there's been sometimes, especially Goodreads and Tumblr are 2 social media websites that, like, I really want to be a part of, but I just never have, like, taken the time to, like, sit down and, like, set everything up. So maybe I should do that. Maybe I will do that.
It would make me very happy.
Okay. To make Kelly happy, I will start setting things up for dates.
We had another question from Cheyenne. Do you guys have any editing tips? I've got a 107,000 word draft with 3 point of view characters that I wrote in the wrong order, and I have no idea where to start with edits.
Ooh.
Yikes.
We're all just like, ooh.
Well, first of all, 107K is not like crazy long. You aren't looking at having to
That's not bad.
cut huge swaths of your book. So that is great. Starting with good news.
Yeah, I would do what I do, especially in your case, when I'm feeling super overwhelmed, is go through the draft and actually don't even look at it first. You should know the story that you want to tell, and like go through and write out a timeline and then the actual plot, just like beat chapter by chapter, beat by beat, whichever works for you. And then after that, you can sort of look at your mixed up chapters and figure out what goes where, so that you've got like a backbone of your story, so that you have something to reference to before you try to juggle them around.
And you can also try, if you're trying to figure out how to get everything in the right order, like write each scene, like a short summary of the scene, like on an index card, and then like lay them all out and like reorder them and see how they work in different orders.
It's a good idea. Mm-hmm.
And if you prefer
Instead of trying to
work on-
hold it all in your head, you can visualize it.
Yeah. If you prefer to work on the computer, I would highly recommend the program Scrivener. You can get a free 30-day trial of it. And it has like a function where you can make digital note cards basically, and you can like shuffle them around, unlike in Word or Notepad where you have to like cut your whole chapter and then hope you go to the right spot and paste it in right.
Wow, it's been forever since we've pimped out Scrivener.
I know.
We haven't advertised it in a while.
Should
There,
do
that was
that,
not
I have no
there,
idea what I'm doing on it.
Advertise it.
Yeah. It's so great. And if you decide you love it, it's pretty inexpensive, especially if you do NaNoWriMo this year. Usually winners get like a 50% off code, which is amazing.
And even if you don't win, I think you get like 10% off or something.
Yeah. And they might do it for Camp Nanos as well.
Yeah,
or like
they
a
do.
partial discount.
Do for camp too.
What a great program. I'm so excited to be drafting again. Yeah. You can do it though.
Yeah.
It's really daunting, but starting with a list like that can make it so much easier. I mean, as easy as revisions can be.
At least you know what you need to focus on first. That's like half the battle, is figuring out like what you're going to fix first. So.
Yeah. Got lots of people recommending different books and shows in the discussion section. Thank you so much for all of your comments. And it seems like we're at a lull question-wise right now. Feel free to ask more questions if you have them.
Did anyone get any?
super random?
Yes, go for it. Go for it, then I'll ask my
Okay.
question.
I just want to, no, it's not a question. I just want to say something like really awesome that has nothing to do with anything. Just kind of randomly in here. I think I texted Erin about this, but so when I was reading Wayfarer over the holidays, I took a Bookstagram picture of it. You can follow me on Instagram. My tag's the model who's read, READ. And I was like, book stuff in there as well. Anyway, I took a picture of it and I posted it, and Alexander Bracken liked my photo, so I'm really excited about that.
Over the break, I realized that Becky Albertalli follows me on Twitter, and I don't know when that happened. So I was like, wait, did I know this already? Like, when did this happen?
Like, it's my version of like famous people.
Yeah.
Not that they're not famous, but like my celebrities, I'll put it that way. Yeah, so I was very, very excited about that.
I was gonna ask if anyone got any cool like bookish presents or nerdy presents.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like
Super
pushed
creepy.
really hard because my mom loves books and reading, and so she'll get me lots of books for Christmas, which is amazing, but she goes off list too. And so a lot of times, since those books aren't already on my TBR list, it takes me a while to like pick them up. So I have books from like years ago that I haven't picked up yet. And so I gave a list this year to all my family members, and I was like, and if you don't want to get one of these, Barnes & Noble gift cards are great. And I got 3 Barnes & Noble gift cards.
Yeah.
Great year.
I think, but like between all my gift cards, I bought like 5 books, and it was amazing. Including like I pre-ordered Wayfarer and Wind Witch, so
Yes.
Wind Witch will be here
So
Tuesday, and I'm
excited.
so excited.
I've shouted yes so many times.
It was really good.
Oh, I'm
So excited.
Yeah.
I also used my Christmas money to buy this shirt that says, "When in doubt, go to the library." And it says Hermione
nice.
Granger across the bottom of it. I actually saw
Nice.
someone wearing it in Barnes & Noble, and I was like, I need that shirt. So I went and looked for it. And then once I had my Christmas money, I was like, I'm buying it. So I'm still waiting for it to get here, but I'm very excited.
Nice. Oh, Kelly, I love your internet sweater.
Yes.
I have a few of those now. Got another
Great.
that says, please don't make me do stuff. And I like to party, and by party I mean read books.
Yes.
That's amazing.
All the time. I got Feminist Fight Club by Jessica Bennett that I'm very excited about to start. It's just about, well, it's called the Office Survival Manual, but it's just kind of about how to like make yourself more of a presence in a male-dominated workforce. And there's lots of other stories in here from other women that have experienced sexism because they're female. And I've had my eye on it for a little while, so I'm really happy I got it for Christmas. And I will be reading that soon. What does it say? Oh my god, did you notice at the very bottom? It says this book is 21% more expensive for men. But that was like the only, my mom, she actually went to New York about a month ago, and so she brought me back some stuff from the Strand bookstore. So that was kind of cool. Got some pins and a tote bag. I'm really happy about that.
We have another question if we're ready for that.
Yeah, bring it on.
So Helen asked, do you guys find that there's a huge difference between plotting and outlining? And if so, what do you do first?
There sort of is. Like I do like a loose outline before I start, and then as I go, I do more detailed plotting.
Yeah,
I
I think
would call it the other way. Like in my head, I kind of plot things out, and then I do an outline of like point by point what happens.
I guess that's our definition of outline.
Yeah, I guess what's the difference of each thing?
I almost consider like rectangles and squares, like all outlines are plotting, but not all plotting is outline.
Yes.
And so yeah, like Kelly said, for me, outlining would be more of like a scene by scene, chapter by chapter thing. Whereas plotting could encompass like world building or character mapping, things like that.
See, I think of plotting as figuring out the plot. So
Yeah, I think
and
of,
outline.
I think of
See, for me,
outlining,
outline
like-
seems like much more like general, like framework.
Yeah,
So that's
same.
like I get like a framework for the story first, and then start writing it as I
So
go.
funny that in
Figure out
my
more of the plot.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite in my head.
Think of it as like an outline, like it's like the edges, just the edges, and then you fill it in with your plotting. That's how
Yeah,
I think.
exactly.
So there's no general consensus. You can do either one.
But it sounds like we all do the same thing. We just call them opposite things.
Yeah. And I think it differs from book to book too. Like whether I do writing scene by scene first or coming up with like all the mapping first, or if I just skip all of it and start writing.
I'm trying so hard to be a better outliner in 2017, or plotter, depending on who you ask. Both, really.
I believe in you.
It's hard. I would rather just be writing, but I don't want to do massive edits later, so I'm trying to have a game plan before I get started.
Yeah.
The most writing I've been doing lately is my final projects.
Yeah, I'm only editing right now, which sucks.
We have another question
Ooh.
from Dance Storm. What's the difference between alpha readers and beta readers? And do you recommend alpha readers, or are just betas okay?
I love
I don't
having
know
an
if I've
alpha
heard
reader,
of.
but like Erica was my alpha reader. Of like, just send it when it's done. I haven't even looked at it. Just tell me what you think.
It's like someone who looks at it while you're writing the book.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's someone who knows it's very, very rough and can just point out things right from the get-go, or just
Mhm.
Give you an idea of like, does the story work? Yeah.
it's a more trusted beta reader, I think.
Yeah, I don't ever have alpha readers unless like we were doing that for a while in the writing group, which is fine because like
Yeah.
people that were
Yeah,
in
that
the
would
writing
be
group I trusted very much. Yeah, but I don't actually usually do that. I like to write depending on the story, but usually I like to write with the door closed, as Stephen King says, and then like second or third draft, I'll get beta readers.
I think a lot of people call alpha readers critique partners. It's pretty much the same
Yeah.
thing. And usually with something like that, you only have one or two people that you would do that with. It's not something that you like outsource, just like looking for random people to do.
Mhm.
It's like trusted writing friends.
I very much like having people to like alpha read for me. Like I like being able to share a synopsis with a couple of friends or like my first couple of chapters. Like when we have those things, I love doing them in our writing group, and I feel like they're really helpful, but it's not like a beta reader is someone who reads your book after it's done and edited for the first time and gives you feedback, and that is like, you need it. You should not send it out into the world before you've had beta readers and edited based on their feedback. Whereas alpha readers are like, if you find people you like and that works for you, then do it. But if not, don't.
Yeah, it's not necessary, and it's not for everyone, just helpful in some cases.
Especially if you can't figure out if you should continue on with writing a certain book or
Mhm.
Yeah, like it's very good for that. Like, is this working? Is there a major issue I'm not seeing? Or I know there's an issue, but I can't tell what it is. Help. So those kind of things.
Mhm. Or like the, I hate this book right now. Am I hating it because I need to drop it, or am I hating it because I hate everything I write right now?
Yeah.
Alpha readers are great for that. Question from Alexis Prime. I bought the Thesaurus collection from Angela Ackerman. Do any of you guys use them? Yes. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
The
them.
first one. Yeah.
Yeah. I always have mine right beside my desk.
Yeah. I use the Emotion Thesaurus all the time in revisions.
That's the one.
Yeah, I want to get the whole collection, but I also feel like it could be a little distracting. Like
yeah.
trying to look for
Mhm.
different
That's why
things and
that's why I put them on my Kindle, because then I like have to work to get to stuff on it, because I have like a really old Kindle, and so I have to use those two little arrows to get to everything. And so I have to like want to do the work to skim through them. Jody said to let Kelly know that she's gonna get Kelly's book as soon as I get a gift card this week. Yay, can't wait to read it.
Thank you.
So good. I'm not finished yet, but it's so good. You'll love it.
Is it going to be available on Barnes and Noble, because some of us have Nooks and would rather get it there?
It's only on Amazon right now.
I'm gonna read it on my phone or computer if I get it from Amazon.
It will also be paperback sooner or later.
Maybe I'll get them.
Yeah, great book. You should buy it too. If you haven't heard of it yet, it's called Four of a Kind. It just came out 4 days ago. And there's 3 more books all coming out this year. So, yay. We'll stop making Kelly feel awkward now. We've got a question from Sabra. Do you have any different tips for outlining?
I tend to write my books out of order, so I am not the person to ask for that. I'll start writing the scene that I want to write, and I'll just fill in the rest of it later. Sometimes that's the beginning, and in that case, that's a good thing. And sometimes it's the end.
I can't write like that. Can't do it.
No, me neither. I'm A to B. A to Z.
I actually started beginning books at the beginning and just writing through that way. But I think my first 3 or 4 books I ever started writing, I definitely started writing in the middle of them.
I know I've said this before on these chats, but I have to have a skeletal outline. I cannot outline beat by beat, or I get really stuck in my own head and stuck to the plot line, and I can't. I think I discover more things when I have a rough outline.
Yeah. I've said this before, but I don't before I'd be able to figure out.
I think you cut in and out
Could
there.
you say that one more time? Yeah.
When I start writing, I don't figure out every single thing they're going to do. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have my plotting I've been doing right now, so I'll share a little bit of it.
Ooh.
So what I do is I have my I'll tilt it this way so you can't read it all.
You make
I'm
me
like
feel
part
bad about
1,
myself. Just
part
looking-
2, part 3, and part 4. Because I'm trying Emma's 4-part structure this time around. And so I'll write down a really brief, oh, this is going to happen in part 1. This is going to happen in part 2. I don't know what's going to happen in part 3 yet, but I'm working on it. And then since I'm going to have lots of point of view characters, I have what point of view I want for each chapter in the first quarter. I write really short chapters. And so I want to know what direction I'm going there, at least for the very beginning, while I'm figuring things out. And once I have that, then I just start and just see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I love outlining so much. I could talk about it for so long.
I want to love outlining.
You love the idea of loving outlining.
Mhm.
Once I discovered 4-part story.
Oh no.
I'll never know.
We'll never know.
What happened? What happened when she discovered outlining? No.
We'll never know now. Maybe her power went out.
I don't know. She's just a black square. Emma.
Emma.
No. She's just sitting in the dark, really quiet.
Actually, that kind of happened to me during the pre-chat where my computer just all of a sudden was like, you don't have this plugin. And I'm like, yes, I do. And then I clicked away and then it went back to normal. So maybe something just glitching.
Weird. She was definitely going in and out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
No. Well, what?
No.
Her stories to be continued. I've been watching way too much Netflix.
We'll come back to the 4-part structure when Emma returns. If she
I want to know more.
Son. suspense. Yep.
We have another question from Helen. As a person who doesn't have a lot of IRL writing friends, how do you start a writing group? I want to find more people that I can talk about writing with on a regular basis.
The internet, Wattpad, Craigslist.
Not Craigslist.
Hey, I
Clear
met
that
one of
Craigslist.
my I met one of my best friends on Craigslist. That sounds
Really?
weird.
Really?
Yeah, she tells everyone that I picked her up on Craigslist, which sounds like the creepiest thing in the world. But she tells everyone. I'm like, I'm so glad you're still telling people this. But I tried to start a writers group, and it was just like a huge abysmal failure. And like I think 3 people came or something, and then there was like one last pathetic meeting where she was the only one that showed up. And I was like, this is it. The writing group is doomed. And it was, but we just like got along like a house on fire, and we were there for like till the coffee shop closed down talking. And then because we both write YA fantasy, so but she's still my best friend, and we talk like every day on Facebook. So not all Craigslist interactions are creepy and bad.
Emma's back. We can hear the 2
Hello.
minute story.
What happened to you? Oh no.
No. No.
No,
We
Sarah.
can't hear you now. No.
Oh, Emma's face is like no.
Super creepy. I'll try again. Try again. Okay.
Oh.
I know that there are lots of authors right now too who do like author matchup things. Like Maggie Stiefvater has one. I think if you like Google Maggie Stiefvater author matchup, you'll be able to find the page where it was just like a link with a huge page of people, and you could write like, hey, I'm Megan, I write YA fantasy, I'm looking for someone to swap chapters with while we write. So hey, let's be friends. And then you could like look through and also see other people who are looking for similar things to you. And it's like an easy way, like I know this person wants a writer friend, and that makes it easier.
Putting yourself out there is going to be the best way to do it. Just interact more with the community. I basically tried to do one of those author matchup things and got like this little writing group of 3 people, and that didn't really go anywhere. But then I started doing word sprints with someone else, and now that's 2 friends I talk to every day. And we're doing writing sprints all the time that you just never know where the relationships are going to come from. So open
Also,
yourself up to more opportunities.
Yeah.
your local library can be good. Back when I had just moved to Grand Prairie, the only people I found that wrote the same types of things as me was at this little local library gathering that got together every Wednesday or whatever. So that was really fun. And then also NaNoWriMo, sorry, also has really good, in a lot of the big cities has groups that get together to do writing sprints. And I have one that meets, I didn't even know they literally met down the street from me every year. So
Yo, Erin, take me with you this time.
yeah, oh my God, they do write-ins every Sunday, even on the non-nano months. So you'll have to come with
really?
me next time. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
dope.
I didn't go this morning because I like literally slept till what? I'm so sick. So I woke up at 1 o'clock and was like, "What time is it?" And it was like, "Okay, so it's over now."
Oh, good
Been
to know.
over for hours. But no, well, I'll like
Congrats.
contact you before
All right,
next
cool.
Sunday.
Is
if
that
you're
at the
free.
Waves?
It's at Waves, yeah, in the background.
Ah.
Yeah, it's a good
Yo,
turnout,
okay.
actually. Yeah, I'll drag you with me next time.
That sounds
But
awesome.
yeah, I didn't even know they were down the street from me. I could literally walk there. So I just got on the Nano site and found like local groups in my area. So
That's cool.
mhm.
And if you're a student too, just like ask if it's cool with the teacher or the professor first, and just write on the board of an English class or creative writing or a publishing class, be like, hey, I'm starting a writing group. Contact me at this email, and put your email. And people, I mean, I found my writing group because someone else wrote on the board, we're starting a writing group. Meet outside of this room after class. And like the writing group is still going on 4 years later.
Well, that's cool.
That's awesome.
We had another question. Oh, first the 4-part thing.
Yes,
Can we hear
Emma.
you now?
I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys hear me now.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, all I was gonna say was that I used to always love the idea of like outlining and plotting, but I never actually like loved doing it. Like I was always really excited for it, and then I would start doing it, and like get dragged down into it and start hating it. But once I discovered 4-part structure, like I started loving doing it. Like having a structure to help me figure out like where to start has made me like enjoy. Like I get really excited to be like, oh, what's the midpoint and what's the pinch point? Like, so.
That's where I want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had one more thing in the comments that I wanted to kind of plug too about writing groups. Tamara mentioned that she has a writing group that's called #WriteStuff, and every Tuesday on Twitter they chat, and I have followed that some, and it's really great. Like that's a great place to start if you're looking for a starting point, or a point not just starting, but like a place to go that's easy to find friends. Everyone is super nice there. Thank you so much for all your questions, guys. I'm pulling them up now, trying to make sure I don't miss any. Following up on plotting, Alexis said, I use a story binder for my plotting. Do you have story binders? And if yes, what do they look like?
No, I just have ridiculous amounts of notebooks.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, tweet at us at YA Word Nerds. Yeah, so we can like tweet us pictures of yours, or
yeah, for
if
real.
you can put them in the comments, do that, because I would be very interested in seeing that.
I don't know if you can put them in the comment. Can you send a photo in the comments? Oh, no, tweet at us at YA Word Nerds and show us your like story binder or your outlining tools. I'd be really curious to see what everyone outlines with. That's fun to see.
We're always looking for new things to try.
Mm-hmm. I really want to be like, I really want to beautiful mind it someday and have like, not quite beautiful mind, I should say, but just like the idea of having an entire wall covered in notes. I know, Megan, you've done this before, but
it feels so good.
It's so cool looking, but I can't remember the name of the movie that I just saw, but he has Asperger's syndrome and he, what does he do? He's like, he works out people's taxes or something. It was a really cool movie. Yes, thank you. What is he? He's an accountant. Oh boy.
He works people's taxes. Yes. It's that movie.
Oh dear. So yeah, in The Accountant, he at one scene he has like a full glass wall where he writes on the glass wall that I guess is meant for that. And I was just like, that's so cool. I want a whole room of my office to just be a glass wall so I could scribble notes all over it.
Yeah, I want a whiteboard wall.
Yeah, you can get whiteboard paint nowadays.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe one of your walls glass.
Oh.
That would be whatever. It'd be really easy, right?
Get a glass wall painted over with that paint.
Kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, I remember I went and toured this like company that does lots of marketing stuff for Gatorade, and they had this one like communal office space that just had like a bunch of chairs and a giant whiteboard wall. And I was like, oh, the things I could plot on that wall.
I need this in my life.
Yeah. Words Fail said, I'm getting a part-time job and I'm nervous about working, writing, and vlogging. And so I was wondering if you guys had any advice about time management when you're getting into working and trying to manage the things that you normally don't have to manage as much.
Oh dear God, that is my life. I really actually just put aside days. Like, for example, Sundays, I always have off because I've always booked Sundays off. And Sundays are my filming day. And Sundays are the Word Nerd day. And Sundays are filming day. So that's always, like, always do it every Sunday, except for today. Because today I was deconstructing Christmas at my house. So no filming got done. So maybe filming will get pushed to tomorrow. But, like, you know what I mean? Where you have, like, certain days that you do. I mean, I don't know what your work schedule is like. But I'm sure that you could do it before or after, in the mornings before work or what have you. So it is just kind of, it's like finding time, but if you don't find time, then I mean, I guess you can make time. But if you don't want to get up at like 5 a.m., then I don't know what to tell you because I don't want to do that either.
In some ways, like working like full-time or part-time or whatever, like makes it harder to have time, but also at the same time it makes me be more disciplined and gives me a routine, and I really appreciate that. So like when I'm working, because I work full-time, like I have to, if I have time to write, I have to use it. But like when I have like time off from work, like I said during this break, I had like a whole week off work, and every day it was like, well, I'll do it later, or like I'll do it tomorrow.
So much time.
Yeah, and like it's easier to put things off when you have like all the time to do it, I think. So hopefully it'll help you to like be more structured and have more of a routine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions? We've been going for over an hour, so.
Yeah, so it's probably about time to wrap it up. If we did not get to your question, we do these every Sunday, sometimes with topics, unlike today.
Next week we're talking about getting organized, I believe.
I think so.
What a great question to end on, then.
Yes.
Segue into next week.
Mhm.
Also, my video
So-
tomorrow is about getting and keeping your writing organized. So there we go.
Nice.
So, final, or anything big you're excited? Reading, writing, word nerds, life. Kelly's getting married.
I am.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
That is exciting.
Very exciting. I could be there. No, it's exciting.
I'm excited about that part too.
I feel like
I'm
also
thinking
kind of sort of
married
getting
is
married.
whatever.
Yeah.
That part's got to be exciting too.
Um,
I'm hoping to write more this year, and I'm also hoping to go somewhere this year, like to travel somewhere this year, and that might
Like
be
Ontario.
Toronto. Well, I mean, it will be Toronto, but it might be somewhere else too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to get more into it. I'm excited for like the story ideas I have for this year to work on. So
It's gonna be a good
Yeah.
year.
yeah.
Good
Yeah,
things.
2016
lots of
was
good books
weird.
coming out this year too.
Yes.
All right. So it's good. We're excited for this whole new year with you, and we will see you all this week with our videos, and of course next Sunday. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.